نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: ثلاث لا يفطرن الصائم: الحجامة والقيء والاحتلام، أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربنا يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح. رب زدني علما. اللهم صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we continue inshallah with the topic of Saum, Kitab al-Saum, the chapter of fasting, whereby we will mention things that break the fast and things that do not break the fast. And we started the list of those things that do not break the fast. We continue with that list inshallah, and it mentions water entering the air as by diving or swimming will not cause the fast to become broken. Water entering the air by diving or by swimming will not cause the fast to become broken. So it may be allowed for a person while they are fasting to swim, but at the same time, so that answers the question: does a person who dive in water, does it break their fast? No, diving in water does not necessarily break the fast. But at the same time, that would not be something advisable, because any little mistake can happen and a person can actually drink some water and that would cause the fast to become broken. So, but as long as the water enters into the air passage, that does not cause the fast to become broken. Cleaning the air. Cleaning the air also will not cause the fast to become broken. With regards to the air, it is mentioned in Bahishti Ziwar Maulana Shafari Tanvi Rahmatullahi Alayhi, if a person were to put some oil into the airs, then the fast will become broken. If a person were to put oil in the air in the month of, while they are fasting, then that would break the fast. He also mentions if a person were to take something via the mouth, the nose, or enema, passing it in the back passage, then all these things, although they do not take it orally, will cause the fast to become broken. In such cases, the qadha will be wajib, but the kafara will not be wajib. Qadha will be wajib and kafara will not be wajib. Kafara becomes essential when a person actually breaks their fast by doing those things such as eating, drinking, or having sexual intercourse willingly. Swallowing one's mucus. While we are fasting, we can swallow our spit. It is there naturally, and sometimes it comes more than other times. For example, sometimes it is said that our mouth is watering. A person, for whatever reason, they smell some food, they feel to eat something, whatever have you, and their mouth starts to water. As we say it in our local terms, the mouth is watering. That doesn't mean that a person has to keep spitting. The person can swallow the mucus because that is something that is formed in the mouth in itself. And before we go on to vomiting, inshallah, we mentioned about, in the last day's session, about surma. And the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he allowed the usage of surma while a person is fasting, even if a person actually sees it, the blackness of the surma in the spit. In Ma'arif al-Sunan, Allama bin Nuri rahmatullahi alayhi says, this is on account that this surma has actually passed through a pore or a duct, as opposed to if it had actually passed through a passage. In other words, a person is putting surma in their eye. That is not a passage. If a person were to take the same surma, put it on their tongue and swallow it, would the fast become broken? The fast will become broken because now it goes down a passage. But from the eye, it goes through a pore, comes through the throat, a duct, and comes through the throat. It does not cause the fast to become broken. With regards to vomiting, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the hadith that we have read, he mentioned two things about vomiting. And he said 3 things does not cause the fast to become broken: coughing, vomiting, and nocturnal emission. Coughing, vomiting, and nocturnal emission. These things do not cause the fast to become broken. And in another tradition, from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, reported by Imam Tirmidhi, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Man dhara'ahu al-qay'u falaysa alayhi qada'un wa man istaqa'a amdan falyaqdi." Whosoever vomits, whosoever experiences vomiting, then there is no qada upon him. This means unintentional vomiting. Wa man istaqa'a, whosoever seeks to make themselves vomit, induce vomiting, then that would cause the fast to become broken. فَلْيَقْضِي. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, let him make qada of that fast. Now, the Hanafi jurists have explained this by saying the induced vomiting is up to a mouthful. That would cause the fast to become broken. So if a person vomits, there are 2 types of vomiting according to the Hanafi scholars. They have described and explained. A person vomits because of some type of upset stomach, whatever have you. They did not put their finger down their throat, but they just started to vomit, and they vomit so many times. That would not cause the fast to become broken because that is not induced vomiting. But if a person now were to shove their toothbrush, shove their finger, whatever have you, induce vomiting, if it is less than the amount of a mouthful, then the fast does not become broken. But if it is to the amount of a mouthful or more than that, then the fast becomes broken. If a person, he was rinsing his mouth and water went down the throat, and the person knew that they were fasting, his fast would break. Qadha will be wajib, but there will be no kafara. Remember we mentioned if a person eats, drinks, or has sexual relations, then fast becomes broken. They have to pay the kafara. But on the contrary, if a person were to accidentally drink water, like they were gargling, and they drank water, of course the fast becomes broken because water went down that passage. But they would not have to pay kafara. All they would have to do is make qadha of that day. They would have to make qadha of that day. If blood comes out of the mouth and then it is swallowed together with the saliva, the fast will break. However, if the quantity of blood is less than that of the saliva and its taste is not felt when it goes down the throat, then the fast will not break. If there's a lot of blood, what is being said? If there's a lot of blood, to the extent whereby a person can taste it and it goes down the throat, fast will become broken. But if it was such a little amount whereby the saliva was dominant, there was no change in the color of the saliva, or there was no tasting of the blood, inshallah, the fast will not become broken. Mawlana Ashraf Ali Thanwi rahmatullahi alayhi says, it is makruh to cleanse the teeth with any type of tooth powder, toothpaste, etc. If any of these things go down the throat, the fast will break. It is permissible to clean the teeth with a miswak, whether it is a dry miswak or a fresh one. If the miswak is obtained from the neem tree and a person tastes the bitterness in his mouth, even then it will not be makruh to use such a miswak, because the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he used to use miswak while he was fasting. Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi, according to one view, he says it is makruh to use the miswak on account of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala liking the scent of the mouth of the fasting person, and using the miswak, scrubbing the tongue, scrubbing the teeth, scraping the tongue with the miswak, it would, so to say, remove that bad scent, etc. But Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi and the Hanafi jurists are of the opinion, no, it is not makruh to use the miswak at all, and it would be permissible based upon the fact that the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he used to use the miswak. And other than that, actually they mentioned that the bad scent actually comes from the stomach on account of the fasting itself, and that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was speaking about, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So what has been mentioned, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is that many people, they take the chance, and we say take the chance and use toothpaste while they are fasting. Now, if we look at the texture of toothpaste based upon the different types of toothpastes, sometimes it's a bit claddy, it's a bit thick. If that ma'adallah were to stay on a person's tooth or teeth, and then they were to actually be tasting that and swallowing that, that would cause the fast to become broken. So therefore, a person should not take unnecessary chances whereby their fast can become broken. So whether a person takes toothpaste and puts it in their mouth and swallows it, that would break the fast. Now, the other thing is that a person is scrubbing their teeth. But we could all testify that if you look at the toothbrush sometimes, you would see that little specks of toothpaste sticks on the brush. Now, again, a person can argue the point, yes, I gargled properly. So, of course, if all comes out and it does not stay in the mouth, then the fast will not become broken. But again, a person has to be very precautious, and it's only a matter of hours before a person can actually brush their teeth again. And if a person so pleases, they can brush their teeth at the time of sehri. So, makruh to cleanse the teeth with tooth powder, etc., according to Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi rahmatullahi alayhi. A few masail relating to women or relating to sexual relations. And the first one, that is the general one, if a person has sexual relations willingly, the fast will break, qadha will become wajib, the qadha of that day, kafara will become wajib also. As long as the man enters into the woman in the front private part of the woman, as long as the head of his private part becomes hidden in her private part, then this is whether ejaculation takes place or not. The qadha will become wajib and kafara become wajib. If a man enters his private part into the back passage of a woman, the fast of both of them will become broken. Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi rahmatullahi alayhi says, qadha and kafara will also become wajib. While fasting, it's not permissible for a woman to insert any medicine, oil, etc. in her private part. If she inserts any medicine, lubricant, etc. into her private part, the fast will become broken. Qadha will be essential and wajib, but there will be no kafara in this case. Qadha will be essential, but there will be no kafara in this case. Because of some reason, the doctor inserts his finger into the front private part of a woman, or she inserts her own finger. Then she removes that part of the finger or the entire finger and then reinserts the finger. The fast will be broken, but kafara will not be wajib. If the finger was not reinserted, the fast will not be broken. However, if the finger was wet or moist before inserting it the first time and then it was inserted, the fast will be broken the first time it was inserted. Mention is made of these masail, my dear respected brothers and sisters, on account of even women paying visits to gynecologists, etc., while they are fasting. And of course, it's not permissible for us to have sexual relations with our wives while we are fasting. And to go to a further extent, there's a ruling that if a woman was sleeping or lying down unconscious, a person came and had sexual relations with her, her fast will become broken, qadha will become wajib upon her, but there will be no kafara upon her because she was not the one who was willing to do so. As for the man, qadha and kafara will be wajib upon him. Qadha and kafara will be wajib upon him. So, as we were saying, while a person is fasting, they cannot have sexual relations. The definition of fasting, the abstention of food and drink and sexual relations from the break of dawn until sunset. And to go a bit further, this is why it was mentioned for young people, it would be makruh for them to kiss or fondle their wives, etc. If their wives, if they feel that now, if it could cause them to go even further and excite themselves and go to the further extent of having sexual relations. So sexual relations while a person is fasting is totally out, and it could cause qadha and kafara to become wajib. Now, we were speaking about the private part of a woman and the placing of any type of lubricant, any type of medicine in the private part of a woman. That would cause the fast to become broken. As Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi rahmatullahi alayhi is mentioning here, even if a person were to insert a wet finger into their private part, then the fast will become broken. The fast of this woman will become broken. And therefore, of course, appointments of such nature could be done before Ramadan, after Ramadan, or if a woman is pregnant and she is not fasting on account of that pregnancy, as we have mentioned, those who it is permissible to delay the fast, probably a woman in her last trimester, whatever have you, then of course she's not fasting. But if a person is fasting, then they should reschedule their appointment. A person happens to break their fast in the month of Ramadan. That person, even then, cannot eat for the rest of the day. It is wajib upon them to abstain from consuming anything for the rest of the day, just like a normal fasting person. If for some reason or the other, a person's fast became broken, and they did it by accident or mistake, now their fast is broken. So the question is, well, they already have to make qadha. Whether or not they have to make kafara, that's a different issue. But they already have to make qadha. So can the person now just eat as usual? No, they cannot do so. They cannot do so. They cannot just eat willfully in the month of Ramadan. Likewise, the masla comes about wal marahiku idha balagha. The young boy or the young girl who now becomes baligh in the month of Ramadan, during the day of Ramadan, fasting was not compulsory upon them, so therefore they could have eaten in the day, within the day of Ramadan, although they were getting the targheeb of what? Fasting. But fasting becomes compulsory upon those who are baligh. So now they become baligh, 12 o'clock in the day. They cannot eat from that time until sunset. Because why? They come under the heading of those now whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands to fast. وَالْكَافِرُ إِذَا أَسْلَمَ. Also an unbeliever, he becomes a Muslim during the day of Ramadan. Now the laws of the Sharia is applicable to him. He will not be able to consume food for the rest of that day if he embraced Islam during the day of fasting. And the third person that this masla is mentioned about is a woman. وَالْحَائِذُ إِذَا طَهُرَتْ. A woman when she is in her menses. Yesterday she was in her menses and she was eating during the day. No problem. But the next day she became clean. Now she has to take ghusl and perform salah. She ate 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock during the day. Woke up late, ate her breakfast. Because she couldn't have sahri, she was in a state of menses. Now her menses ceases and comes to an end. For the rest of the day, it is also wajib upon this woman to do imsak, restrain from eating and drinking and sexual relations also. So these three people, it is mentioned according to the fuqaha and the Hanafi jurists that they would abstain from eating, drinking and sexual relations. We now move on to sahri and iftar. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, tasahharu fa inna fi suhuri barakatan. He said, eat sahri, for certainly in that pre-dawn meal there is blessing. In that pre-dawn meal there is blessing. It is sunnah to partake of sahri and the pre-dawn meal based upon traditions like these, where the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it mentions that in it is a lot of barakah. Even if a person is not hungry, he should at least eat a few dates or anything else, no matter how little it may be. If he does not want to have anything at all, he should at least drink some water. He should at least drink some water if he does not want to have any type of, great big meal or whatever have you. Many people, they have that complaint. Early morning, not accustomed to it. So it's difficult for some people to eat. But at the same time, eating with this intention, knowing that it is a sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we will be rewarded. As a matter of fact, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said the distinction between our fast and the fast of the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians, is the eating of sahri. And that in itself shows the istihbab of eating sahri. Of course, it is not wajib. It is not wajib. It is mustahab and desirable. It is from the sunnats of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And in eating sahri, we do mukhalafat of the people of the book because they never used to have sahri. As a matter of fact, that the hukum of the people of the book, the night of fasting, as long as they slept, they could not have eaten anything or drinking anything thereafter. In the beginning of Islam, this was the hukum also, that as long as a person sleeps in the night, they could not have eaten anything. Afterwards, this hukum was removed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy upon the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the ayat was revealed, أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ لَيْلَةَ الصِّيَامِ الرَّفَثُ إِلَى نِسَائِكُمْ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned further on, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Eat and drink until the white thread becomes clear from the black thread from the dawn. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it permissible for the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam to partake of sahri even if we sleep. A person, as far as possible, sahri should be delayed. However, it should not be delayed to the extent of the time that the time of dawn commences and one begins to have doubt in one's fast. Sahri is, we can have sahri until the break of dawn. And this is why it is mentioned as a precautionary measure, a few minutes before the break of dawn, we should stop eating so that we do not end up eating in the break of dawn timing. There are some people who are of the opinion, based upon certain aspects of traditions, that mentions if a person has a morsel or his hand is raised to his mouth, then let him continue eating that. But my dear respected brothers and sisters, the ayats of the Holy Quran is clear, and there is no hadith that is strong enough to go against that. Eat and drink until the dawn, as we have just mentioned. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَأَتِمُّ الصِّيَامِ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. Hold on to that restraint until the night. One is not allowed to eat. So if there is any concession of eating, it must come from a very authentic source. Even if it comes from a hadith of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it must have that strength that can go in opposition to the Holy Quran. But there is no such tradition according to the fuqaha and the jurists. So therefore the point being is that we have to be very, very careful. Do not eat when the time of dawn comes in. Do not eat when the time of dawn comes in. At the time of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, yes, there was a mistake, and he mentioned to one of his sahabis to go and make the i'lan, Inna al-abda qad nama. Certainly the servant has slept away. Kulu washrabu, eat and drink until you hear the adhan of Hadha Abdullah ibn Ummi Maktoum. Right? And there were different narrations along that line, wherein at the time of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there was the adhan that was given, and they would know that the time of Fajr had come in, or the time to eat sahri, or the time of tahajjud, which was only done in Makkah, Medina, and until today it is like that. And there was a little mistake, so the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned to them, no, people can still continue eating. But when the adhan of Fajr was sounded, no one could have eaten. When the adhan of Fajr was sounded, which would give the people an indication it's time for the Fajr prayer, no one would eat at that time. Right? So, from the Holy Quran, we are not allowed to partake of anything. Even if we have a morsel in our mouth, we have to spit it out at the time of the break of dawn. And this is something we have to be very, very careful with. A person woke up a bit late and thought that there was time left. On this assumption, they had sahri. Later they learned they actually had sahri after the break of dawn. His fast will not be valid. He would have to make qadha of this fast, but kafara will not be wajib. But such a person will still have to abstain from everything like a fasting person. A person woke up and their watch stopped. Their watch stopped at 3:30. And when they woke up, the room is dark. They made their room conducive to sleeping. Dark windows, dark curtains, red lights or little light, whatever have you. They woke up, mashallah, 3:30. Right? And they put everything in for the sake of simplicity, a small fridge right next to their bed. They went to the washroom. Again, everything, you put on the light. You don't know whether it is day or night in the bedroom toilet. Come outside, take out the meal, start to eat. Afterwards now, going to brush up, make wudu, perform, come outside to go to the masjid, then realizing what? But it's bright. Something is wrong. Looking at the watch and it's still saying 3:30. So, the person made a mistake. Now, if it is, they actually realized, well, when I ate, what time was it? If they had eaten at a time whereby it was not the break of dawn, whether watch stopped or not, as long as they ate in a time whereby it was not, whereby the break of dawn did not come in, then their fast would be in order. But if they realize that they ate in a time whereby the break of dawn had already come in, their fast will be invalidated. They will have to make qadha of that fast. But they will not have to make kafara. They will not have to make kafara. Likewise, a person thinks that it is sunset and they broke their fast. Then what would happen is that they would have to make qadha, but there will be no kafara. And this is why people must not make jokes in the month of Ramadan like that, whereby a person starts to call the adhan in a joking way to make people think, well, it's time to break fast. Because people could actually accidentally break their fast, mistakenly break their fast. Right? So we have to ensure that it is the time of sunset in order to break our fast. When the sun has set, then the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells us to hasten to the breaking of the fast. Hasten to the breaking of the fast. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا يزال الناس بخير ما عجلوا الفطرة. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, the people will continue upon goodness as long as they hasten to break the fast. In another tradition reported by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he says, قال الله عز وجل أحب عبادي إلي أعجلهم فطرا. The most beloved of servants to me are those who hasten in the breaking of the fast. Those who hasten in the breaking of the fast. And when we say hasten the breaking of the fast, it means that the person knows that the sunset has actually occurred, not while it is occurring or before it actually finishes, but when the sunset has actually occurred, then we will break the fast, and it will be permissible to break the fast. Sometimes, the mu'adhin may not have called the adhan yet. As long as the sun has set, it will be permissible. Because, the mu'adhin might break his fast and then call the adhan, as the case may be. But the point that is being made, my dear respected brothers and sisters, is that it is mustahab, and it is desirable that we hasten. A person shouldn't tell themselves, well, after half an hour I will eat or I will break the fast. No. They should break the fast immediately after sunset. It is preferable to break the fast with dates. If dates are not available, then a person can use water. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he says, "Man wajada tamran falyuftiru alayhi, wa man la falyuftiru ala ma'in, fa innal ma'a tahurun." He said that whosoever of you finds dates while he is fasting, he should break his fast with dates. And if not, let him break his fast with water. If not, a person can break their fast with water. MashaAllah, whereby many people, they would even like to donate dates to masajid and so on. And this is a very good amal, MashaAllah, because the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, whosoever gives the fasting person something to break their fast, then they will get the reward of the fasting person, without the reward of the fasting person being diminished in the least. They said, O Messenger of Allah, what if we do not have that amount whereby we can do so? The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, even if a person gives them water, then inshallah they will get that reward. Even if the person gives them water, they will get that reward. And that is with regards to fasting, with regards to sahri, with regards to iftar. We have mentioned about those whom it is compulsory to fast in the month of Ramadan. We have mentioned about those things that will break the fast, those things that will not break the fast. And before we close, inshallah, we will deal quickly with regards to the sighting of the moon, because we will all be looking for the moon, and it is something good that we look for the moon, right? Yes, mashallah, there may be moon committees, whatever have you, but there's a dua that the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he used to say, and when we see the moon, inshallah, we should say that. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he says, "Sumu li ru'yatihi wa aftiru li ru'yatihi." Fast upon its sighting and cease fasting upon the sighting of the moon. So the lunar month, it can have 29 or 30 days. After the 29th day, you have the 29th night and then the 29th day. After the 29th day, after Maghrib, we will look for the moon. If we see the moon, then inshallah, mashallah, that shows the commencement of the new month. So on the after the 29th night of Sha'ban, we are in the month of Sha'ban, you will have the 29th day of Sha'ban. The night comes before the day. So you will have the 29th night of Sha'ban, and then you will have the 29th day of Sha'ban. After the 29th day, which will be in this particular month, a Friday, we will look for the moon. If you see the moon, then inshallah from that very night, it will be the first of Ramadan. And as we have mentioned in the chapter of Salah in Taraweeh, because it's the first of Ramadan, we perform Taraweeh before we actually fast. We perform Taraweeh before we actually fast. So if we see the moon, it means that Ramadan has commenced. If we do not see the moon, فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَأَتِمُّوا الثَّلَاثِينَ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. Even if the moon is there, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam didn't say the moon wouldn't be there. The moon is always there. So if the moon is there but it is cloudy and we could not see it, or we did not see the moon, then complete 30 days. So we would have to complete 30 days of Sha'ban, and then we will actually commence the Ramadan after 30 days. Then we will commence the month of Ramadan after 30 days. Thereafter, my dear respected brothers and sisters, with regards to the month of Ramadan, we have dealt with that Sehri, Iftar. Then in the last portion of Ramadan, there will be i'tikaf. In the last portion of Ramadan, there will be i'tikaf, and i'tikaf actually begins. I'tikaf actually begins on before the end of the 20th day. Before the end of the 20th day of Ramadan, and we said what? The night starts before the day. So you have the 20th night, and then you have the 20th day. So i'tikaf is understood to be what? The last 10 days. So a person must go, the males must go in the masjid before the end of the 20th day, means before the commencement of the 21st night of Ramadan, which is an odd night, which could be Laylatul Qadr. The odd nights from the last 10 nights, inshallah, can be the night of power. Women can also spend i'tikaf, whereby a place where she offers her salah at home, can be the place whereby she would sit and do her dhikr, etc. That can be considered her place for i'tikaf, and she could leave that place if she so desires to perform i'tikaf in her home. She would leave that place for the purpose of relieving herself or for food and drink, and then come back to that place if a woman wants to perform i'tikaf. A woman does not perform i'tikaf in the masjid. Males perform i'tikaf in the masjid. But if a woman wants to perform i'tikaf, then she will go and sit in that place in her home where is considered as her like her musalla, or where she will sit and do her dhikr, or where she has allocated for the i'tikaf. And she will go out for the purpose of relieving herself, getting her food and drink. And if there is someone to bring food and drink for her, then she should not leave that place even for food and drink. And she should remain in that place and sleep there as well, whereby she could occupy herself in recitation of Quran, nafil ibadat, etc. If a woman, in the duration of that, she experiences her menses, then she will have to abandon the i'tikaf, because i'tikaf in that state is not permissible while a woman is in her menses. While a woman is in the state of i'tikaf, it would not be permissible for her to have relations with her husband, or to sleep with him, or kiss, cuddle, etc. And this is with regards to the i'tikaf of women. But with regards to the i'tikaf of men, they have to ensure that they are in the masjid before the 21st night comes in, during the 20th day. So before sunset of the 21st night of Ramadan, they must be in the masjid, within the parameters of the masjid proper. And that is something that a person has to be aware of the boundaries of the masjid, so they can stay within there while they are performing i'tikaf. And there are many virtues, mashallah, of fasting. There are many virtues of i'tikaf that a person will hear about as the month of Ramadan comes in. And inshallah, the month of Ramadan is coming, and we can obtain so many benefits. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take benefit from us, accept us, inshallah, make us understand the rulings that have been mentioned, and make us, inshallah, allow us to live and see the month of Ramadan in such a manner we passed it in a safe, good way, and in such a manner that we do not corrupt our fast or do anything to harm our fast, harm the rewards of our fasting, even ma'adallah, things like backbiting, right? The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, many a person is fasting, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of that fasting. Why? Because they just abstain from food and drink, but they are sinning like normal. Right? They are sinning like normal. Backbiting, watching this, watching that, saying all these different types of rude things, out of timing things and whatever have you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, protect our fast, and allow us to meet the month of Ramadan and perform a lot of ibadat inshallah for His sake, so that when we meet Him inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.